Hello fellow collectors and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Baxter Stockman from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Turtles in Time line from NECA Toys. So the packaging here is made to resemble the original cabinet from back in the 90s. That's why it has these turtles and all these kind of weird costumes. It's exactly what the cabinet looked like back in the 90s. I don't remember if Baxter Stockman was actually on the cabinet somewhere or if they just mocked this up, something to be in keeping with the other suits. Either way, looks hilarious. Although I do think it's funny, this is more what he looked like on the original cartoon and not really so much what he looked like in the video game itself. So over here, we just kind of have more packaging resembling the cabinet. Same over here. If we take a look at the back, this is what the figure actually looks like, and very, very much in keeping with what he looked like in the actual game itself. So not quite what it looks like on the front of the box. Also down here, you have the collect them all. Obviously, the four turtles are out already. Shredder, Foot Soldier, and Leatherhead and Slash are all out. These were kind of split between waves 1 and 2. But we do get a look at Rocksteady and Bebop, which will be coming out a little bit later on. I think it's still later this year, if not early next year. And they look really fantastic, so I'm pretty excited about this. I don't know how much longer this line is going to go on. Only time will tell. I know they're very much focusing on the cartoon line with Target and a little bit the movie line as well. But the cool thing about this packaging, it pops open like a typical Ultimate box, so you get a really nice photo of the figure here in a backdrop that looks like the first level of the game. And then you can see the figure inside with all of his accessories. He's got the crazy giant hand for the gun, just like he does in the video game, so that's really neat. So I'm going to go ahead and get this guy out of the box, and we're going to take a closer look. So here he is out of the packaging, and I think he looks great. They did a really nice job. A lot of bright, fun colors. He's got that pixelated paint job to simulate the 16-bit graphics. I've heard some people don't care for it, but I think it works. I think it's a fun time. And I just really like the sculpt. I mean, it's a brand new figure. Most of the other figures in this line have been repaints. I think Slash is the only other one that's an absolutely brand new figure. But they did a great job with this. I love the kind of tattered pants down here at the end near his feet. His bow tie and his vest looks great. The wings on the back are really nice. They're kind of made out of a not quite translucent. I guess actually they're not translucent, but they're kind of made to look translucent. They do a really effective job with that. So it's kind of neat. We have a hinge here as well as a swivel, and that's for all four of these. You have a hinge and swivel, and he's got his little fly pincers out here, which look great. Let me zoom out here so we can take a look at this head sculpt. Really nicely done. Really resembles the video game, I think. They did a great job with that. He's got that crazy red hair, the green face, the one tooth hanging out in there. Now he's got a hinge at the base of the neck, as you can see there. And then at the base of the skull, he's got a ball joint. So you can spin side to side, a little bit of tilt side to side, a little bit of tilt up and down. But most of your up and down is going to come from the neck joint. But it really works. You have a hinge in the shoulder as well as a rotation. You have double jointed elbows with these two joints here. And you also have a swivel. And you have a swivel here. So both of these have a swivel at both joints. You have a swivel and a hinge in the hand, or I should say at the wrist. And he does come with some alternate hands. You have a ball joint here, kind of at the waist. You have, I think this is just a ball joint here. Now I have noticed a little bit, if I stress it too much, you can see the cracking there a little bit on the paint on what people call the diaper, the soft part of his jeans. It's not too bad as long as, it kind of stresses out but then kind of snaps back, and then you really don't see it. So it kind of stretches, but then it goes right back. So just be a little careful with it, and you should be fine. Like I said, I'm pretty sure these are just ball joints here. You have double jointed knees. And most of these joints are really, really fluid right out of the box. They really are nice and fluid. The only one that's a little sticky for me is his bottom knee on this side. I can get a little bit of movement out of it, but it doesn't want to seem to bend all the way, and I don't really want to break it, so I'm not going to force it too much. But all the joints other than that really have been nice and fluid on my figure. You have nice ankle hinge, and then you have a rotation as well, side to side, for some ankle tilt. So it's a really great figure. I think they did a great job with it. I really like it a lot. I still think the cartoon Baxter they did is my absolute favorite, but this guy's a very close second. He looks really good. And he stands well on his own. No problems there. But he does come with some really cool accessories, including a stand. All right, so I'm going to zoom the camera out here a little bit so we can take a look at this stand that he comes with. It's actually pretty involved. So it's 3 pieces. This is all one piece, which snaps into the base. And then you have this kind of grabber claw piece here that just moves around like so. The only thing I think is a little weird is they've used these kind of like hexagon connectors, if you can see what I'm talking about there. They're not a circle, and I'm assuming that's so that it frictions in better, which is great. But you have to kind of put this in on an angle. You can't put it in straight away like you'd want to. You either have to do it kind of like this or kind of like that. I'm not really sure why they did that. It's not a huge problem because you can kind of position him in the pincer claw however you want, but it's just kind of a weird, I guess just maybe to make it a little bit more of a dynamic pose. Not really sure, but you have a hinge here, you have a hinge here, and then you can slide this up and down. Get this, there we go. You can hear it kind of clicks there, and it holds its pose, which is really nice. I'm going to put it all the way down, though, just for a little bit. I don't need it to be that tall, but you have a nice range of motion there. The other thing you get is the secondary stand, and the reason for this is because he comes with 2 accessories. Now, if you've ever played the game, he has 2 phases. In the first phase, he has this kind of generic machine gun. And this looks really great. I love the little 8-bit styling to it. I think it's molded well. Paint job's great. Very, very cool. And then the second phase, after you damage him a while, he gets this kind of revolver-looking gun. Almost looks like a flare gun, really. And again, really nicely detailed and painted. Molding is great. But if you're familiar with the game, he shoots this gigantic, like, rubber-looking hand out of it. And they give you the gigantic hand. It is ridiculous. It is massive. I'm pretty sure it can hold a figure. I don't have one handy, unfortunately, but it looks large enough to grab a turtle. It's got a little ball joint here, which is great. Over here, I don't think there's any movement. But this connects in. So you just, now it's a really long peg, and you can see some of the paint has kind of scraped off. But just kind of wiggle this on here. And then the second stand is for this, because this is obviously way too heavy that there's no way you would have this just hang on its own. So they give it its own little stand, which I think is fantastic. That's a really great attention to detail. I was blown away that the stands were even included because I was not expecting that. I did not know they were included, which is really, really neat. So let's go ahead and set this up. So right now I have him with his kind of 2 weapon-wielding hands. That's not what he comes with in the box. What he comes with in the box is just kind of 2 completely open hands. And he also comes with a set of closed fists. And you can see, unfortunately, a little bit of paint is flaking. But again, these joints are pretty fluid as well. I haven't had too much trouble moving the wrist joints there on that. But if we go ahead and we pop him in the stand here. Now you could, if you want it to kind of be on his waist, normally he would kind of be cocked to the side. But you can kind of put him in here so that it's a little bit like diagonal across his chest, and then that way he'll still fit in there. So let me pan this up a little bit, and then we can go ahead and put the gun in his hand. You just kind of have to line everything up. Let me see if I can even bring him down a little bit. I think at some point he will kind of start to fall down, but we can go ahead and pop this in his hand. Alright, let me get this going again. I had it set up earlier and it looked really good. So I don't have him in the best pose, but you can see there that he can fire the gun and you can actually pose it like this with the stands included. That's really cool. That's above and beyond in my opinion. Because you haven't really got any stands with these characters. Well, to be fair, the surfboards that come with the turtles for this line do have a little clear piece so that they can kind of be on the surfboard. So we have had some stands, I guess, but nothing as involved as this. This is actually really nice. You have a lot of posability options here, and he fits in really nice, and it does hold him up, which is really cool. Let me see if I can get a better pose for him. I will say it's kind of funny. The more you kind of bend it down, the less it can hold it. It seems to do better holding him up, which you wouldn't think is true, but it does, which is great. Let me see if I can just take this off. I'm actually closing it. That's not what I want. So I want to kind of have him in a, more dynamic flying pose here. Let me see if I can bend his elbows a little bit. And then we'll bring this down and put this around again. We'll do it at a little bit of an angle so that he is more lined up when attached. And then we'll try to get the gun back in his hand. You can even just try it in this hand. Maybe it'll work a little better. And you can kind of put it in his hand, and the finger doesn't quite fit into the like trigger section, but it fits pretty well. That's really cool. I think that's really, really neat. Let me take this out and we'll try the other gun. Obviously, you're going to have a much easier time equipping this gun, as it has virtually no weight to it compared to the other gun. And then there you go. You can just kind of have him flying around, aiming his gun. That's really, really cool. I love the stand. That's such a nice inclusion. I really appreciate that. I think that looks really great. So really, really cool. I'm loving the stand with this guy. I really love this figure. I'm kind of blown away. I expected to like it, but I really, really love it. I still think that the cartoon Baxter just edges out this one as my favorite, just because that one is so perfectly made to look like the cartoon, and they knocked that one out of the park. But I'm really, really loving this guy as a close second. I think he looks fantastic, so bright and fun and colorful, you know, very reminiscent of the original video game. I like the pixelated paint applications. Like I said, I know some people don't, but I think it really works for me. And that head sculpt, they just nailed it. I love that head sculpt. It looks so great, so menacing. The accessories are fantastic. The fact that they threw in that giant like rubber hand thing to attach to the gun and then included all the stands and everything to make it work, I'm just blown away. I really, really appreciate this. I also want to comment about those wings. I don't know if it's like a paint done on top of a translucent material, but it has such a cool texture and look to it that it kind of looks like translucent wings without actually being translucent. And they just picked a great color paint for that. Really, all the colors here are just fantastic. So, like I said, I'm blown away. I love this guy. I definitely recommend picking this up. If you're a TMNT fan, especially if you're a fan of the Turtles in Time video game as I am, you're going to want to grab this guy and add him to your collection. Like I said, I think he's only the second completely original figure for this line, but he's really, really great. I love him. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks so much for watching.